What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and I got a little bit of news, some breaking news. Some reports are just coming out on some updates to the league's plan on, the upcoming season. I just made a video just the other day about their overarching plan for the entire season. But they have come out, part of that was, Roger Goodell put out a memo to all the teams essentially saying that they do plan to open the season on time, et cetera, but for now the virtual off season is extended through like the middle of May, et cetera, and they had not yet given further details on the more specific dates on when they actually plan to start opening things, including team facilities. And so now today we have a little bit more clarification on that, as Roger Goodell has sent another memo to all 32 teams detailing some of that. So let's get into it. The NFL sends memo saying teams can open facilities May 19th depending on state rules. So just real quick, first of all, let's note that part of the reason why we are not ready to open up anywhere in the country is because the entire country didn't shut down simultaneously. You can't have states shut down at different times, have different rules, et cetera. It doesn't help anything. It doesn't stop the spread, et cetera. But of course, we already have tons of states, including Florida, that have opened up way too early. The beaches in Florida have been open for a few weeks now. Ron DeSantis is saying that, not only are sports back allowed there, but they also want to have, and one of the big schools, I can't remember which one, down in Florida as well, saying the same thing. Look, for all these franchises that are in states like, let's say, California, because we are looking at another 3 months of stay-at-home orders and so on and so forth. So, but for franchises there, hey, why don't you guys just come down to here so you can resume your operations here if they won't let you in your state. So that's a problem, okay, which, could be a way for some of these teams and franchises to subvert these rules that are going to come from this memo, right? A loophole in that. So that's a potential problem is a lot of these teams could just be like, you know what? Our state's not letting us, so we're going to go to Arizona or to Florida or one of these places where they are letting teams go and just exacerbate the situation even more. But let's go ahead and get into this. A memo from NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell to all 32 NFL teams states franchises can begin reopening their facilities with strict guidelines beginning May 19th as long as state and local regulations permit them to do so. So again, there's problems with that because we have idiots like in Florida who are doing it way too early, mishandling it, being irresponsible, selfish, greedy, all those kinds of things, and exacerbating the situation. I mean, cases after they opened up the beaches, cases spiked, unsurprisingly. Anyway, but then on top of that, you will have teams that are going elsewhere, et cetera. And it's gonna, look, at the end of the day, from my perspective and based off of the numbers that I've been following and the news reports and all of the data inputs that I have, my guess is that they are going to open up, that at some point they're going to have a breakout, and then they are going to thereby also ensure that the NFL ultimately ends up getting shut down for the entire season because they are pushing this thing way too fast. But to be fair, we will have to wait and see how it plays out. The 2020 season has not, even commenced yet officially, right? Or, we still have a few months until the beginning of the actual season, right? We are into the off-season program, the very beginning of it, but we'll see how it plays out. Anyway, Ian Rappaport of NFL Network provided the memo Friday, and Goodell wrote the following in part in his announcement of the news. Clubs may reopen their facilities beginning on May 19th if they are permitted to do so under government, state, and local regulations, are in compliance with any additional public health requirements in their jurisdiction, and have implemented the protocols that were developed by Alan Sills, the lead medical officer of the NFL, and distributed to all clubs on May 6th. Per Tom Pelissero of NFL Network, all facilities were ordered to shut down beginning March 25th because of the COVID-19 pandemic. A return to team facilities will involve numerous restrictions per the memo, none of which are going to stop it. But okay. Of note, clubs can have more than 50% of their personnel, cannot have more than 50% of their personnel and a max of 70 people inside the facility at the same time. If a franchise wishes to spread out over multiple locations, the max number of people allowed still stays at 75 over all locations combined. I mean, even if that's the case, that's still exceptionally problematic because you have people spread out. They're going to be moving around. They'll come together at some point. None of it makes any fucking sense, but okay, whatever. Coaches are not allowed, well, maybe not none of it. There are some things that are solid, but it's just not anywhere near enough. It's like they're literally trying to put a fucking Band-Aid on a gushing wound just so that way they can get back to work, in which they will then have to fucking endure that gushing wound coming open and then end up not being able to get back to normal business anyway. Anyway, whatever. Coaches are not allowed to return to facilities in an effort to promote competitive equity among all 32 teams, some of which will not be able to travel back to headquarters May 19th. But as we mentioned, it's likely that they'll just go elsewhere because, you know, like Ron DeSantis has said, guys, come on. Or, you know, that the whoever the spokesperson was for that college, I'm blanking right now, but yeah, come use our facilities. We got world-class facilities and blah, blah, blah. No matter. It doesn't matter. Players also cannot go to the facility unless they are rehabbing an injury or receiving treatment. Customer-facing activities with examples including ticket and merchandise sales are not permitted yet. I mean, that should be obvious, so okay, but bare minimum kind of shit. Teams must also report any instance of COVID-19 to the league. But if you bring people together and you test somebody and they're positive for it, then they're gonna fucking spread it. It's gonna get to other people. And look, what if you come back and for the first, I don't know, like week, it's all, you know, hunky-dory or whatever, nobody gets it. But then like a week or so into it, after all of these, you know, people have been coming together, finally somebody tests for it positive, but by then it's already spread. I mean, anyway. The NFL news follows reports that NBA facilities have begun to reopen, with a handful of teams doing so on Friday, May 8th. Like the NFL, the NBA is also under heavy restriction, although players are allowed to work out on an individual basis. Look, I mean, even with the absolute most stringent guidelines, like testing multiple times a day, like literally full-on quarantine, isolating every individual person. I mean, there's so many different things that you could do to help the situation, but I mean, even under those, you know, extremely, exceptionally stringent guidelines, I mean, it wouldn't work, and I mean, it would be tough to manage. It would be super tough to manage. In a perfect world, you could maybe get it to work, but we are so far removed from being in a perfect situation, and these guidelines are not anywhere near stringent enough. Again, just a Band-Aid for a gushing wound. And then on top of things like states opening way too early, people packing onto beaches and into bars and shit like that. I mean, this thing's not going to go away, and it's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. New ailments are developing. There were reports that sailors on the USS Theodore, the Captain Crozier ship, have caught the virus a second time. So now the whole idea that you are immune to it is appears to be out the window. You can get it a second time. Children are getting it and developing all kinds of other issues and dying from it. So that myth is out the window now. So like this thing is getting worse and worse and worse. It's going to continue to get worse, and all they are doing is going to ensure that the NFL season is ultimately shut down in the long run, and there is no 2020 season at all. So having said that, like I said, guys, I mean, it's obviously massively relevant to the Dolphins. Personally, I'd rather see everything shut down because I care more about the health and safety of people than the profits of billionaire owners to these teams, and the NFL as a corporation, et cetera, et cetera. So there's that. But, you know, I mean, it'd be one thing if they just decided to do that beforehand, but if they decide to do it after the fact, after there's an outbreak and after there's a big problem from it, well, then it's too fucking late, and they should be held responsible, and they should be criminally prosecuted for putting the lives of people at risk. So that's my stance on it. But I wanted to update you guys on that because it does look like as if the NFL is going to continue their aggressive push to make sure that the NFL opens on time. and this will be my final word on it for this video, is that my guess is that it's going to backfire and the whole NFL is going to end up shutting down at some point, and it's going to just further the spread and further cause chaos in this country regarding this pandemic and just make everything worse and worse and worse. And they're just going to end up failing in their endeavors. They're not going to end up having the season, and then, you know, whatever. I mean, no matter what, this whole thing is a fucking shit show. So anyway, I don't want to go off on any separate tangents. I got a bunch of other side topics flooding in my head. So with that, I'm literally just going to get out of here before I go off on those. So I hope you guys enjoy my videos and perspective. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. And of course, as always, follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up.